Hello English 151, welcome to my house again. Today we are going to be going over modifiers. So misplaced modifiers and dangling modifiers. So what is a modifier? A modifier is a word or a phrase that acts on another word or a phrase. So if you take the example, I ran quickly, the word ran is being modified by the word quickly. So what happens when a modifier is modifying the wrong word? That's what a misplaced modifier is when there's a word that is trying to modify a certain word, but it is modifying the wrong one. So if there's a word that's modifying the wrong word, then that might change the entire meaning of the sentence. For example, the sentence, I nearly drove for 5 hours yesterday. The word nearly is the modifier, but it's in the wrong place. It's actually modifying the word nearly drove. So what does that mean? It means that the sentence is actually saying that you nearly drove. So you didn't drive, but you almost drove for 5 hours yesterday. So you went back and forth going, should I drive? Should I not drive? Should I drive? Should I not drive? For 5 hours. That's not what you're trying to say though. So what you're actually trying to say in this sentence is that it took nearly 5 hours to get to your destination. So 4 hours, 50 minutes, or something like that. So the word nearly is in the wrong place. Right now, it's modifying the word drove, but you want it to be modifying 5 hours. So where do you put nearly? So the sentence should be, I drove for nearly 5 hours yesterday. So in the slides, there are a few examples that you can practice with to try to figure it out. So the first one is, she served sandwiches to the children on paper plates. She served sandwiches to the children on paper plates. So what is this sentence saying? The paper plates are actually being sat on by the children in this case. So the words on paper plates is actually modifying children. So it says that the children are on paper plates, but you want the sandwiches to be on paper plates. So how do you fix that one? You fix that one by saying, she served sandwiches on paper plates to the children. Next one. So the next sentence is, she saw a puppy and a kitten on the way to the store. So in this sentence, the puppy and the kitten are on the way to the store. But you want to say that the woman who saw the puppy and kitten was on the way to the store when she saw the puppy and kitten. So instead of saying, she saw a puppy and kitten on the way to the store, you would put on the way to the store first. So you would say, on the way to the store, comma, she saw a puppy and kitten. Next one. Only Pastor John gave me $5 to clean all his sidewalks. So in this case, it's saying that Pastor John is the only one who is giving $5. But the actual sentence is supposed to be actually a complaint that Pastor John is giving $5 and only $5 to clean the sidewalks. So the sentence should actually say, Pastor John gave me only $5 to clean the sidewalks, because it should be modifying the $5 rather than Pastor John. Last one for the misplaced modifiers. So the sentence is, she almost failed every exam she took. So that sentence is saying that she almost failed, but did not fail every exam she took, which is not what the sentence is trying to say. The sentence is trying to say that she failed almost every exam. So the word that it's trying to modify is almost every exam, rather than she almost failed, which is the other way that it was being modified. So now we're moving on to dangling modifiers. What is a dangling modifier? A dangling modifier is a phrase, a whole phrase, that is modifying one word or another phrase. However, sometimes the phrase that is being modified is the wrong phrase or word. So the meaning can get a little bit silly if you mess it up. So, for example, the sentence, "Walking through the woods in autumn, leaves began falling from the trees." It sounds like a correct sentence, but it actually isn't a correct sentence because the meaning gets a little bit weird if you break it down. So, what is the modifier? The modifier is the phrase, "Walking through the woods in autumn." So, walking through the woods in autumn, leaves began falling from the trees. So what is that phrase modifying? It's actually modifying the word leaves. So it's saying that the leaves are the ones walking through the woods in autumn, which is not what we're trying to say. What we're trying to say is that I was walking through the woods. So it should say, walking through the woods in autumn, I saw several leaves falling from the trees. So we have some examples. So the first example is, although unusual in the Middle East, men can marry up to 4 wives. It sounds like what you're trying to say is that it's unusual for men to marry more than one wife in the Middle East. But what it's actually saying is that men are unusual in the Middle East. Let's look at the sentence again. Although unusual in the Middle East, men may marry up to 4 wives. So it's modifying the word men, which is basically saying that men are unusual, which we know is incorrect. So how do we fix this one? So you might want to try to figure out what the first part is trying to modify. So although unusual in the Middle East, so it's the practice of marrying more than one wife that is unusual. So you might say, although unusual in the Middle East, the practice of marrying more than one wife is unusual. Next one. So the next one is, looking out the ferry window, several whales frolicked. So if you're looking out the ferry window and you see several whales frolicking, that makes sense. But the sentence is actually saying that looking out the ferry window, several whales frolicked. So the sentence, the first phrase, looking out the ferry window, is modifying the several whales. So it's saying that the several whales are the ones looking out the ferry window, which is not correct. So how do you make this phrase correct? So you want to be saying that I saw several whales frolicking. So it should say, looking out the ferry window, I saw several whales frolicking. This is the last one, so have fun with this one. So the sentence is, eagerly awaiting her birthday, Mary's presents were picked up and examined several times throughout the day. So in this case, what's being modified is Mary's presents. So eagerly awaiting her birthday is modifying Mary's presents. So it's saying that Mary's presents are eagerly awaiting her birthday. So that's not the case. So what you should be saying is that Mary is eagerly awaiting her birthday. So what you could say is, eagerly awaiting her birthday, Mary picked up her presents and examined them several times throughout the day. So those are all the solutions to all of the dangling modifiers examples that I have. So I will see you all later. Have a good day, and hopefully this lecture has actually taught you something.